Good afternoon, and welcome back to What Matters Gulf Coast. Luckily, for the last 2 or 3 days, we've had some pleasant weather. We've had some rain, and the rain brought in some cooler temps. And that's always a welcome addition, especially after all of the heat that we've had. We're going to jump right into our program today. And remember, the last Sunday in the month is Health and Mental Health Sundays. So we have our two resident experts to speak with you today. We have Miss Yolanda Long, who's going to talk to us about the health picture. Following that, we will have Miss Alicia Richardson, who will bring us the mental health updates. So let's go on and get started with Miss Yolanda Long, who is our resident RN, and she keeps us abreast of everything to do with health. Yolanda?
Good afternoon. I am so pleased to be here today. This is the announcement that most everybody has been waiting for. It's when can people under the age of 5 be vaccinated? So the CDC released last week that children from the ages of 6 months up through the age of 5 and those individuals 5 and older, now everybody can be vaccinated against COVID-19. That was wonderful news coming down from the CDC. But I want you all to stay mindful. There are still people in the community that are very susceptible to COVID-19. So just because you're vaccinated and your family members are vaccinated, some people that are like on chemotherapy medications or going through any type of immunosuppressant therapy, all the vaccines they have had throughout their entire life are now wiped out once they begin that journey,
Mhm.
especially if they had stem cell transplant. And so, just because you and your family are protected, think about those that aren't protected and can't get protected for a certain amount of time. So, we still want to stay vigilant with our hand washing, with wearing our masks. Respiratory etiquette. That's when you cough into your elbow. When you sneeze, make sure when you cough or sneeze, coughing or sneeze into your elbow, you want to make sure you're using hand sanitizer, social distance. It's okay to be among people. We were meant to socialize and be among people, but we don't have to be on them. Give people their personal space and just enjoy being able to be out in the community. I just went back to church in March. I'm glad to be there, but I still wear my mask. I use my hand sanitizer, social distance. It's just some things I think will always stick with me. And I just think we have to care enough about our brothers and sisters and make sure that not only we are protected, but we protect others. And that's one of the tidbits I wanted to talk about. I think this is a game changer when it comes to reducing COVID-19, and it puts parents' minds at ease about sending their kids to daycare, because that was a big part of when I talked to people last fall. They were saying, I'll be glad when my child is able to be vaccinated. So the day has come. All you have to do is go to your local health departments, go to your local pharmacies. You can go to your to your primary care physicians, wherever you get your healthcare treatment. Everybody has them now. So please take advantage and get your little ones vaccinated. Um, Even your teenagers that are holding out, young adults, please encourage them. We need to continue this conversation. COVID-19 is alive and well. We still see it in some of our hospitals. We're having an uptick around the country. They're calling for more and more RNs to take these travel nurse positions again, because we're seeing an uptick in COVID-19 cases. So it's not gone anywhere. And really, we think it's going to be with us inevitably.
Mhm.
So we need to get on board, encourage those that are not on board to do what we have to do to help mitigate and eradicate this virus.
Mhm.
Okay, another thing I would like to talk about is sexual trafficking, human trafficking. While I spent 6 weeks in Charleston, and while I was there, Charleston is a tourist community. Charleston, South Carolina, as is Mobile, Alabama, the Mississippi and Alabama and Florida Gulf Coast. These are tourist areas. And what I found, I went to a workshop there, and they had this panel where people were talking about how bad human trafficking is in that area. Well, one of the speakers that was on the panel, she got up and she talked about her mom. They had come down to Charleston for the weekend. Her mom and sister went out to the mall. She didn't feel like going. She was a heavy gamer, so she was in the hotel gaming.
Mhm.
She was abducted from her hotel room.
Mm.
And this is we don't realize how intricate this system is that these traffickers have.
Yeah.
The front desk person, the security guy, and the maintenance guy all were in a human trafficking ring.
Oh
That's
my
how they
goodness.
got her out of the. They noticed when the
Yeah.
mom and sibling left, and they targeted her
Mm.
and they abducted her. And she was in sex trafficking rings for about 6 months. If I'm, don't quote me on that, but it was a long length of time. And it brought me back to doing the Dallas, the Mavericks game in Dallas,
Yeah.
where one of the young ladies, she had gone out to the game with her father, and she was abducted from the game, had gone into the bathroom, and it was 6 to 8 individuals that were arrested in that case.
Mm.
And this young lady was 15 years old. She was taken to Oklahoma and was trafficked the whole 11 days she was gone.
Oh.
So we need to keep vigilant about where our kids are,
Yeah.
talking to them about it's real, it's here, it's not in
Mhm.
another country, it's not in another state, it's right here in Mobile, Alabama. It
Yeah.
happens everywhere.
Mhm.
And it also happens within families where we see kids passed around in families. And this has been on my heart so heavy
Yeah.
because I could not imagine, I can't wrap my mind around somebody human trafficking anybody.
Yes.
And another thing is, it's not only little children. Yes, it's babies.
Oh.
It depends on what the fetish is for the person. It's like
Yeah.
calling and ordering a pizza. It's
Yeah.
as easy as that.
Mm.
And so don't be naive.
Yeah.
I'm 51 years old. They want women 51 years old too.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
it's mind blowing. And
Yeah.
so I just want you all to be vigilant. And that when I say it's not just babies, it's boys and girls.
Yeah.
So men and women. So
Mhm.
it's not what you think it is. This rabbit hole goes deeper than what we ever thought.
Mm.
And I just happened to attend this workshop because the guy just felt so passionate about it, one of the radio personalities. And I heard it on the radio, and I just went to the event, and
Mm.
it was an eye opener.
Yeah.
So please be careful. Please talk to your children. Please talk to your children about using their words.
Yeah.
Don't be standing up for themselves. You don't have to be aggressive, but voice when you're uncomfortable with something and let somebody know,
Yeah.
because they come in. Sometimes it's in the schools, in the churches, sports events, sports leagues, and everything. They start grooming these kids very young. They
Mm.
don't have to take you away from your family for you to be sex trafficked.
Mm.
it was a local on CBS here in town, where a young lady was on the internet communicating with somebody, and it almost got to that stage, but they found out that he was going around and he was passing these young girls around right here in Mobile County.
Ah.
They don't have to remove you out of your home to traffic you.
Mhm.
They take pictures of you and they use that as leverage. They're always threatening to do something to expose you or expose your family. So just be careful with that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, no, no. I was just agreeing with you. So,
Okay, no problem. I'm sorry. Uh, I have some little tidbits for July. One I really wanted to talk about was fireworks. We have got to be careful with fireworks safety.
yes.
Both before and after July 4th festivities, fireworks pose a serious health and safe risk, particularly to kids. Promote the facts about fireworks safety. They should never, fireworks should never be lit by kids.
Mhm.
Um, and then those that are teenagers, they still need to be supervised. And they are finding that some of these fireworks that they're selling at these fireworks stands, they have the capacity to blow something up like small bombs. People didn't realize how um, the impact that the explosion would have is
Yeah.
bigger than what they thought it was going to be. It has caused people to lose eyes, limbs, um,
Mhm. Mhm.
fingers, digits. So, people watching those things.
Yes.
Another thing I wanted to talk about, and this is very near and dear to my heart, July is Juvenile Arthritis Awareness Month. I think I've told you all before, my youngest daughter has lupus and other connective tissue diseases, but we found out she had all of that because she had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis.
Mm.
So when children are complaining of these vague pains, as a nurse, I want to know, where are you hurting? She could never tell me exactly where she was hurting. She was just always hurting. I
Yeah.
just figured she did not want to go to school. And that was not going over with me. So I made her get up. And then on some mornings, I did spank her to make sure she got up and went to school. After further investigation, and it never dawned on me that it was juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. I don't know why it didn't, because my sister's son had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. My sister has lupus and arthritis and other connective tissue diseases, and
Yeah.
it runs heavily in our family.
Mhm.
And so, as a nurse, if you could not tell me where you were hurting, I didn't believe you were hurting.
Yeah.
This vague pain that they speak of,
Mhm.
I never experienced it, so I never
Yeah.
knew what she was talking about. So, as a mother that has been there, listen to your children.
That's right.
I must admit I was wrong, and
Yes.
I'm able to admit that. But sometimes they cannot verbalize and communicate they just can't express exactly what it is because it's that vague. Now, as a 51-year-old with arthritis myself, it
Mm.
started out very vague. I didn't know exactly where I was hurting. I just knew I hurt all over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Mm.
we have to listen to our kids. And like I said, I was not very open to just pain, unexplained pain. I didn't know what that was, even as a nurse.
Yeah.
This is summertime. I know everybody's trying to keep up their workout routines, but let me tell you, make sure you stay well hydrated. Do it very early in the morning. And we don't even suggest that you do it late in the evening. It's still that hot. And
Yeah.
heat can be a killer. People are dying of heat strokes. We have people that's working at Austal and Ingle Shipbuilding. We have people working out on the highways and public safety and public works um, individuals. But heat exhaustion is real, and so is heat stroke. So
Yeah.
make sure you stay hydrated. Make sure you're using the sunscreen. Make sure you're using you shades with to protect your eyes from the strongest rays during the day.
Mhm.
That's another. And we have to remember skin cancer. Skin
Mhm.
cancer is huge. And melanated people, yes, African Americans or people with darker skin tones, yes, we can also get skin cancer. Don't be deceived. It's very real. It does happen. So make sure you're putting on that sunscreen, even in the mornings, every morning, even during the middle of the day, even during the winter time. People always ask, why do you put on sunscreen in the winter? I was told by my dermatologist to do it. I've been doing it ever since, because just because it's cooler doesn't mean the rays are more decreased. And
Yeah.
I don't know the science to it, but I just took his advice on it.
Yeah.
Um, Eating healthy, we want to make sure. I was taught growing up that during the hottest months, we ate cool foods like salads, a lot of fruits. During the winter, mostly we eat like chilies and soups and stews, and everybody wants a hot meal. But back in the day, grandmama and grand aunts and moms didn't cook heavy meals during the summer
Yeah.
because it was so hot in the kitchen. And
Mhm.
they cooked meals, but they had fresh fruits and vegetables,
Yeah.
cool stuff that you could eat, stuff that
Mhm.
wouldn't warm up the kitchen. So we need to get back to some of that: fresh vegetables, fresh fruits,
Yeah.
lots of water.
Mhm.
And so I talked about exercise and healthy eating, fireworks safety, and juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and make sure we're protecting our kids when it comes to car safety. It's hot outside. And like I heard one of the newscasters say, when it's like 98 degrees, it can be 115, 112, 115 in a car. Make sure you're looking in the back for those babies.
Yeah.
I'm not with my grandkids all the time, so I make it a habit to keep looking back in the back seat,
Yeah.
because I'm not with them much, but I would hate to leave a child or anybody in a hot car. So those are my tidbits for July. I'm glad to be back, and have a safe and wonderful summer.
Thank you, Miss Long, and we are glad, very appreciative of having you, and you always bring us wonderful information, very informative, and tidbits, things that we need to know immediately, right on point. Now, I need to mention that our program is being sponsored by Navico Pizza, and Navico Pizzeria is located at Navico Road and McVeigh. A wonderful, wonderful place to go and eat excellent food.
Navco Pizza 1368 Navco Road Mobile, AL 36605.
Folks, they help to make it possible for us to come to you each Sunday. So when we have sponsors, please support them. It's a Black business, and we need to work really hard on supporting our own. And this is an excellent one. We've eaten there several times. Good food. Now, next on our agenda, we always have a health update, but now we turn to the mental health piece, and that is equally as important. And here lately, we have been hearing more and more about the importance of mental health, especially when we start looking at some of those mass shootings and what have you. Now they want to talk about how important mental health is. Of course, we've known this all the time, but it seems as if some of the other folks are finally beginning to catch on. So, our next presenter will be Miss Alicia Richardson, who is our resident expert on mental health. and mental health needs. Miss Richardson.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me again. Yes, mental health is something that we need to talk about. Mental health is something that we need to talk about in the Black African American community. There is a stigma associated with mental health. When mental health is mentioned, we naturally assume it's something negative. And I just wanted to kind of share the difference between mental illness, what is considered mental illness, and what is considered mental wellness. And mental illness is a health condition which involves changes in the emotion, their thinking or behavior, and it's often associated with distress or problems functioning in their social, their work, or their family. Mental health, mental wellness is the state of well being in which individuals realize their abilities and can cope with those normal stresses of life, and they can work productively and make a contribution. Now, when we think about mental health in the Black community, we're faced with a lot of challenges, and one of them would be racism. Racism is considered an individual attitude or an institutional structure that treats members of a community differently because of their race and their color. And so, how has that impacted how we see or seek out mental health treatment? In the Black African American community, there has been a mistrust of the medical community, and we've seen that a lot during the pandemic. But also, we want to focus on some of the things that we have seen on the news with examples, loss of life or taking of one's life or murder. And so, how have we handled that, right? How have we processed that? And so, my focus today is not only to talk about mental health, but Black men and mental health. You see, admitting you need care is a sign of strength, not a weakness. Whereas we're taught growing up that seeking help is a sign of weakness. That is incorrect. That is not true. Admitting that you need help and seeking out support is a sign of strength. And understanding and addressing mental health issues among Black and African American males requires us to look long at our historical collective experiences and to assess how those experiences impact our current life and are embedded in our issues of identity and our access to healthcare and mental health care. There is a barrier to mental health care, and that is the stigma. And that's why I focus so much on helping to identify what mental health care actually is. And that is taking a good hard look at how we're handling our life stressors and putting in effective coping mechanisms. So, I would like to offer you an opportunity to think about your self care strategies. I would like to offer you an opportunity to think about what do you practice for your self-care? How do you take care of your mental health? How do you take care of your emotional health, your physical health, your spiritual health? Spending time with self to assess those four areas, those four domains of wellness, to determine what do you need to put in place to be well. And do you have an accountability partner? Do you have someone that you have talked with regarding your mental health plan for care that can hold you accountable and talk to you about How are you doing on that thing? If you decide that when you're feeling stress in your body, you're going to go for a walk, are you actually doing that? Or are you carrying that stress around with you? So I just, I want to leave with you a video today because, again, I talked about mental health. I talked about self-care. I talked about Black men and mental health. And so I found a short video that you can access on YouTube from a young man talking about why and how he sought out mental health care. And it's dealing with some very key issues, the pandemic and protests, what young Black men are experiencing in their bodies physically, and how they're handling that mentally today. So again, I thank you for an opportunity to share the importance of mental health and self-care and addressing Black men, African American men, and their mental health. Thank you.
It just made me feel low, lonely, scared, and not wanting to talk to people when really I should have. I should have been, talking to people, letting them know how I feel, how I am.
Like many of us, Gavin has found the last 6 months a real challenge. From the pressures of the pandemic to the intensity of the Black Lives Matter protests. When he needed it most, he battled to find the courage to reach out. As a Black man,
Yeah.
do you think it's harder then to make yourself vulnerable?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. It definitely is, because, we've always been stereotyped as the tough guys, as the toughest guys. And, when we have that vulnerability to ourselves, or we show that vulnerable side, it's like, it almost gets really exploited in the worst ways. And I think it's something I really want to change. Around when I'm walking in the street, it's the little things, it's the microaggressions, such as, like, we're walking on the same path as someone, and then they cross the street, and then you turn back and you see they've crossed back. It's those little things. It's like, I'm just me. I could be the kindest guy. I could be anything, but it's sad. I find it sad because I've never seen myself as that kind of guy. I've always seen myself as a loving, caring person. And then, to immediately just walk out of my house and be judged and be seen as that, it's just really sad, in my opinion.
What impact does that have on you, on sort of, your sense of well-being and on what you think of yourself?
Well, if you want me to be truthfully honest, sometimes it does make me want to play into it. And that just makes me almost resent myself a little bit more by wanting to play into it. So it's just really about knowing better and just going against it. And sometimes I always think why. I always question everything, like, why does it have to be this way?
Did you find somebody to speak to?
Oh yeah, of course. Eventually I found the courage within myself, because I think that's what it takes to go out on someone and say, look, this is how I feel. I need help. I need to reach out.
For Gavin, there's one thing you can do to help others struggling with their mental health. Just 3 simple words.
Ask me, am I okay? Because I think that goes such a long way. For me, as well, especially, but I think for a lot of people it would. Those 3 words there, I think, hold so much weight and are so powerful, and it could just make anyone release what they feel. And I think that's probably what I needed the most.
Very good. And that video really brought it home to us because, as what Miss Richardson had said, as well as what the video gave us, is that Black men, whether they're young or older Black men, they walk under this stereotypical notion that they're supposed to be strong at all times. And that's not really necessary. It's hard to sometimes break that. But as he said, those three very powerful, very strong words. Are you okay? And those are open ended questions. So the person that it is being addressed can really open up and talk about a lot of things, or can say, not right now. I don't want to talk right now. And then you know to back off, leave that person alone, and then maybe approach them at another time, or they come to you at another time. Miss Richardson, would you like to add any closing remarks concerning your video?
Well, I thank you for that, Miss V, because you're absolutely right. And as the video did state, there is an expectation for men to be strong. And that's why I wanted to point out that admitting you need care is a sign of strength. Sometimes we don't know people are suffering in silence because we have an expectation on them. And those three simple words, are you okay, opens up a door. Now, if someone chooses not to engage in conversation at that time, that is perfectly okay. Of course it is. But what you've done is you've opened a door to say, I'm here for you. I'm available to listen to you.
Yeah.
I'm here to support you. We have to be very careful to stop trying to fix other people's problems because people are quite capable of coming up with solutions.
Yeah.
What they need is a support system. And so when we look at mental health, we look at, like I mentioned earlier, the accountability partner, having that one person that will hold you accountable. If you're not okay, you're not okay. And it's okay to not be okay. But what do you do about it? Do you stay in that place of not being okay? Or do you recognize I need support? And then reaching out. And for those who are acting as supporters, listen. Most people need to be heard. Just listen.
Yes.
It's important that we not offer our solutions because everyone does not do the thing the same way. I might wash my dishes by putting my glasses in first. Someone else might use their silverware, but yet the dishes will be clean.
Yes.
And so it's so important that when someone trusts us enough to sit with us and share their most intimate self, those things that they carry around, that we listen. Not this is what I would do if I were you, because we try to fix things, or why don't you try this, that, and the other. That's not what people need. In a support role, I suggest you listen. And so I leave that with you today. Are you okay?
Yes. Yes. Very good. Very good. And I just love the video, especially when we're aiming at that particular topic. We're talking about Black males and the mental health piece. And one of the things I want to remind everyone, and she didn't tell me to do this, I'm doing it on my own, is that Alicia Richardson is a licensed counselor, and she does take counseling cases. Now, she works full time, but she does some on the side. So if there's a need, you can always give her a call. And if I can get our producer to run that sticker again with her information, that's her contact number, 753-0668. She is a licensed counselor. And if you know of anyone that may need that assistance or someone in your family, pass the information on. Once again, we have come to pretty close to the end of our show for today. I do want to spend just a little bit of time talking about the recent passage of the, well, not passage, but the unfolding of the abortion rights law. and how the Supreme Court went back in and took a right that had been with us for 50 years and undid it. And folks, my concern is with this, of course, because this one has huge ramifications. This one has huge ramifications for the female. Now, there's no mention for what part the male plays in all of this and what would be the financial responsibilities of that male if that female is forced to have a baby or forced to have this baby. And then what kinds of legal implications are involved. And let's suppose it's a rape case. Let's suppose it's incest. You know, what are the legal ramifications? What are the financial ramifications, you know, for the female? So I think it's something that we really need to pay heed to. The other thing is, and I've heard several of the news casters talk about this, is that it can very easily be opening the door for some other rights to be taken back. For example, contraceptives. That can easily be rolled back where we're no longer allowed to purchase those. And if you do, you can be arrested. It's against the law. Somebody can tattle on you. All of these kinds of things. Those kinds of rights can easily be taken away from you. Another one mentioned the fact that access to your personal data, that can be rolled back. They were talking about the kinds of things that they're looking at that actually can be rolled back. And as a matter of fact, one of the Chief Justices, Thomas, actually talked about the fact that LGBTQ rights could need to be taken back. He talked about contraceptive rights need to be taken back. He talked about relationship, who you marry and can't marry needs to be controlled and taken back. Now, he didn't say anything about interracial marriages because guess what? He's married. He's in an interracial marriage. So he left that one alone for personal reasons, I'm sure. But he talked about that. He also talked about the possibility of looking at Social Security, looking at Medicare and Medicaid. So what I'm saying is, folks, we've got to be very, very diligent about getting out and voting. And we've got to vote in November. It is a local and a primary, but it is equally as important as voting for the president. If not, we're going to have the same kind of cuckoo birds that we have now on the Supreme Court, and they will get to stay. And we will have congressmen and state legislators who support that same nonsense. You can imagine how impactful it will be for someone to go in and take Social Security, take Medicare, take Medicaid away from your kin folks. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you got or you don't have. Someone in your family is drawing Social Security. Someone in your family is getting Medicare. Someone in your family is getting Medicaid. For them, those people who have worked and have paid in on all of these things, all their working lives, to have those kinds of things taken away from them. Or for some, a group of men and one cuckoo lady decide that contraceptives needs to go. We don't need to be selling those. It's against the law for women or men to use those. We have got to be diligent, as I said before, and we have got to get out there and vote. And folks, if you have a young person in your home, in your family, in your church, in your neighborhood, get with that person. Explain to that young person why it's important for them to get registered and get to vote. They have registration drives all over Mobile County. And here's another thing, folks. Mobile County has a majority minority population. In other words, the minority numbers are the highest in the population than the other numbers. So there's no way we should be electing people that we don't really want to be in that office. We have the numbers to pick the person, hand pick the person, the right person for the job, the right person for the job. Anyway, I'm off of my soapbox. I
Excuse me,
really, yes,
Miss B. I tried to raise my hand. I am so sorry. I just have a couple of comments to piggyback off of what you said.
feel
Number
free.
one, I just need everybody to know abortion is going to happen
Yes,
with or without this bill. It just depends on how you want it to happen.
yes.
Do you want it to be safely? Do you want it in the back rooms or in alleys? Or
Mhm.
are we going back? Are we really doing this? Are we going back? And it was on my heart to talk about it, but I didn't want to get political on you all
Yeah,
this Sunday afternoon. But I'm so glad you brought it up because it's something that needs to be talked about. It's something we need to face head on.
yes,
So it's going to happen.
it is.
So you need to make this choice today. And I'm not talking about a moral issue, and I'm not talking about your religious issue.
Uh-uh.
It is going to happen. I
Exactly.
promise you that. And
Mhm.
number two, my other thing about that, when they brought up several things that needed to be addressed with that, and they started talking about gay rights and sexual protection, birth control.
Yes,
Let me take this one step further. If you get rid of condoms, you're going to have a lot of STDs and HIV.
yes.
So you're getting ready to open Pandora's box. And
Hmm.
so that I don't think they've thought this out clearly.
No,
So we're about to see HIV numbers going up. We're about to see the resurgence of, and to be honest with you, syphilis has been in effect. Remember, a couple of years ago, we were seeing these billboards up around Mobile County about the effects of syphilis.
yes.
We're going back to that. That's what we're about to do. These laws that people are passing, they are not for the people.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So you need to vote your conscience. You
That's
need
right.
to vote. I tell anybody, like I tell my kids, vote your interests.
Yes,
What's important to you, and make
exactly.
sure, like Miss V said, put the right people in place that are going to vote your interests.
That's right.
Don't let anybody else take control of your vote, because this
Mm-mm.
has gone all the way to the left. And like she says, we've been having this in effect for 50 years. And I'm going off on a tangent too, but I digress. I'm coming on back in, but I just had to let people know where this is headed.
That's right.
It's
That's right.
deeper than what we
Mhm.
see. Thank you.
And thank you for adding that information with it. And you are so right. I hadn't even considered the health needs that would follow all of that. We have appreciated you being with us today, and we want to invite you back next Sunday. We will have a new list of guests, special guests for next Sunday's show. So please join us next Sunday at 4 p.m. We tried the 3 p.m. and it didn't work out as well for us. So we're back to our old 4 p.m. time. So please keep up with us. Join us again next Sunday. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day and next week too. Good evening.